Hello and welcome to another edition of Impact TV. I'm Kevin Hilton, the CEO of Impact, and today we have again our guest Eric Dean, the General President of the Ironworkers. Hello, Eric.
Hey, Kevin, how are you?
Good, good. Today we thought it was a good idea to talk about growth. The construction industry is in a growth mode, and it's been our goal, lo these many years, to grow the membership and, more importantly, recapture market share. You can see on your screen that according to the economists that we'll have at the 2016 Impact Annual Conference on Anaban Basu, that non-residential construction is up 11.5% over 2014. So that's going to beg the question, where can we grow and how are we going to keep growing?
It's a pretty broad topic, but I'll give you the overview of where the Ironworkers International, how we measure growth and how we take a look at it. First of all, the bigger our union is, the stronger our union is in its ability to bargain collectively for profits and safe, sharing the profits of the employers, and in the form of wages and better working conditions. And when conversely, when we don't have a lot of growth or we're shrinking, oftentimes we see concessionary bargaining. So one of the things that we've done internally through the previous past two general presidents, from General President Hunt through General President Wise and now presently myself, is we have the key performance indicators where we measure the locals. And what we did was we took 15 of the best practices of local unions and we measure and assess the local unions. And it's not just their ability to train and represent members, but it's to be able to secure as much of the construction work in the area as possible, because when we get outnumbered, our growth actually goes into retraction. When we go into retraction, our contractors have a hard time competing on projects. In areas where we have the higher union density, we enjoy better wages and working conditions. And so our growth measurements that we take a look at shows that we've grown in the shop, we've grown in the outside, and those numbers probably translate pretty fairly accurately in both the United States and Canada. However, there are pockets of places that haven't grown substantially or with the construction market, and we use our international reps to do internal assessment and hold people accountable and see what types of steps we are. It might be the growth might be in helping get more employers in the area, or it might be simply the local isn't organizing enough of the unorganized ironworkers in the area.
So key performance indicators, that's kind of a yardstick for the ironworkers.
Historically, it's a KPI, a key performance indicator. It was implemented, I believe, in about 2006 or 7. I think 2006 we came up with the concept. 2007 we started rolling it out and we started measuring annually. Now we're taking those measurements and we're actually having those conversations and we're actually steering the deficiencies. We're taking a look at the lower scoring matrix of those 15 and finding out if that's the reason that's impacting a local's ability to grow.
So it's really an internal ironworker measure for you to be able to manage the organization.
Absolutely, and it allows us to measure operational efficiency, and we'd like to standardize. We understand every local specializes. Some are in industrial areas, some are in urban areas with nothing but high rises, and some have a mix of agribiz or energy. And they're like, some locals just have a bigger engine. But what we see everywhere unilaterally is every local can operate the same, and the easiest way that we can build our strength is through growth, and we want to grow greater than our attrition rate. So we've seen a lot of baby boomers leaving the industry, and we've seen a lot of people leave during our construction depression. We have to make sure that we not only replace those workers, but our growth will be measured by our ability to keep the amount of work we have, work with the signatory employers we have, and then have more growth than that. And then that's how we capture more of the work from the open shop.
From your perspective, where do you see the strongest markets?
Well, that factors. There's private capital was pent up in the industry. So you're seeing a lot of private capital come to market. I don't see a lot of speculative building like there once was, but you do see targeted or want to build mine first while the manpower is available, or I can get steel or whatever commodities they need. In the industrial sector, it's exploded. And I think it's kind of catching its breath a little bit with the depression and the oil prices and the glut of natural gas. But there's an abundance of energy work like we've never seen. Right. We have our fingers crossed, and we have great hopes that they've passed out of the House a 6-year transportation bill, which gives us enough long-range planning and gives states and local communities the amount of time to plan. It is yet to be paid for. That's why I say I have my fingers crossed. But the growth, we're seeing it east to west, north to south. About the only place that's where we're seeing a forecasted slowdown might be in the areas that are solely dependent on the oil economy due to the low price per barrel.
Sure. Of course, that makes the feedstocks a lot more affordable too, so that'll keep the chemical business flush. If you look at the Ironworkers Union, for instance, how does it break down between the commercial and the industrial in terms of percentage?
You know, I wish I had the exact percentage. I can always approximate. Yeah. We're seeing where the industrial work through our partners at the Association of Union Constructors and the National Maintenance Agreement, that some of the hours are down because of the fossil fuel clamping down on the EPA regulations. So some of those hours are down, but yet oil sector is up. Gas, natural gas, they're turning natural gas import facilities around to export facilities. We're fortunate enough here in the Washington, D.C. area to have a project labor agreement on the Cove Point project, and we're seeing where we have some opportunities in the Gulf Coast and on the western coast of Canada. There's proposed very mega large projects. So, you know, while one area softens, another area, you know, that business is always cyclical, steel business, all of them. And when one softens, it seems like another area strengthens.
So every trade magazine you pick up, every publication, every industry blog you read about, the number one concern of the owner community, the developers, the whole enchilada is skilled manpower. Are we equipped to be where we need to be to recapture that? Keeping in mind that, let's face it, in this day and age with the influx of technology, you can do a lot more work with fewer guys.
Well, our union has the capacity through its apprenticeship training program to train brand new apprentices in about 160 different locations. So I believe we have the capacity to grow. What we need is the demand, the assurances. So in some areas, what we're faced with is we're tasked with growing the workforce at a time when the private economy's coming to roost along with everything else. And so our next alternative is to go get open shop workers and round off their skills. And our local union and our leadership needs to recognize that they're not the enemy. They may not have an opportunity. But I have a soapbox or a philosophy that it relates to that, is everyone's crying wolf as far as the workforce shortage. And it's clearly that a lot of workers were projected to leave the workforce. But I would say 40% of the workers are baby boomers, and they were set to leave the workforce. And we've known, these are known matrix that have been out there for a while. And that's not just tradespeople. The difference is we have the capacity to train very readily, and the open shop is just getting around to developing a training program. So they're losing a lot of our ex-members that left us that went to the open shop side, and they're seeking normal retirement. So I think it puts us in the best position possible going forward, because not only the ironworkers, all the building trades have the capacity. If you measured our school and our training capacity, we're the fourth largest school district in North America. And so the opportunity for us to train, all we need is the assurance of the work, and we'll either go recruit open shop people and round off their skills, or we'll start that normal path of apprenticeship and turn people out. Oftentimes you don't have 2 or 3 years, but we still have the capacity to train greater than anyone else. And so I view it as an opportunity that I don't fear at all. I think our organization's set just right.
You hit on a key point, is you need the capacity. You need the contractor capacity. And we've done a lot of work in the Gulf Coast, as you're well aware. We've also started, and that Gulf Coast work involves upgrading the local unions, training facilities, as well as working very closely with contractors to attack a market that we're underserved in. We're also doing a unique approach where we're working with the local unions and developing business development skills, and that comes in one of your district councils in the Midwest. Could you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. The Southern Ohio vicinity is headed up by Bill Woodward. And Bill Woodward said, hey, that Gulf Coast business development, I could probably use that in my area. So he reached out through Impact, and we use our consultant, Teresa Magnus. And she took a look, and what she wanted to do was take a look at what their training capacity was, take a look at what their physical plants are, how do they market themselves to an open shop or a non-union contractor or an owner. And then she identified targeted owners with industrial maintenance in the area, and now they're setting goals, not only to say clean up their physical property and make sure that it has a business appearance to it, but also to reach out to and target some of these areas and try and get either their local signatory contractors or the contractors working in those areas and recapture those. The only way you recapture market share is one employee at a time, one union member at a time, and one job at a time. And then that successful job, that successful member breeds 2 and 3 and so forth.
Well, I think it's really important to recognize, and obviously the ironworkers have recognized this, that if there is a facility that the ironworkers aren't in, we got to do something different than we've done before to get in there. So that's part and parcel of what we're doing. There's no roadmap for it, clearly, because it's never been done before, but it's a great opportunity to grow. And then, like you touched on at the beginning of this broadcast, that the more we have ironworkers in those places, the greater density, the more leverage you have, and of course that creates great lifestyles for our contractors as well as the ironworker member.
Well, I think this business development is much in line with the Impact's core mission. It's more jobs for our contractors, more jobs for our members. And then when they get more jobs and they need more members, the union has the capacity to train and deliver those more members. But we just need the assurance that we can get the work and build on that momentum. We just can't wait for the phone to ring at the union hall anymore for a list of signatory contractors to call and hope they get work. Sometimes you got to shake the bushes.
No doubt about it. All sales are done face to face, one at a time, like you just said. So this is a great segue into another means of growing our market share. And to grow that market share, you have got to have more outlets. It's one of the things I say when I have the opportunity to speak with ironworkers and contractors around the country is there's a reason why Starbucks sells more coffee. They have more coffee stores. Obviously, training ironworkers is not grinding coffee beans, but I think it's important to realize that one of the key missions that we have, and it's very aggressive, and again, it's never been tried before, is really investing in contractor training.
That skilled shortage that you alluded to earlier about the skilled workforce for the craftsman, the ironworker, it's the same thing with the employers. There's not enough project managers, engineers, owners, people with capital willing to go into business. So we have to groom that next generation. We have to not only develop the craft person side of the business, we have to develop the business side, and that's what Impact's tried to do jointly, is take a look at where our craft worker shortages are, how do we get our schools up to capacity, and then take a look at our signatory contractor base and how do we boost up our contractors. Certain contractors have a threshold of the amount of work they can take on, so the solution to that is you either need more contractors or you might have that junior level person that's looking to say, I've dedicated myself to this company, I don't want to be disloyal, but I'd like the opportunity to go into business. We can't let them go in with a half a plan, so we use the Impact part as a grooming or finishing so that we have the fringe benefits get paid,
Sure.
And they have a good business.
Kind of important.
It is very important.
You hit on a key point, is every year, even in the worst years of the construction depression, we had iron workers that decided to drop their belt and go into business. And one of the typical scenarios we've run across is a guy knows everything about being an iron worker. He's a journeyman iron worker. He partners with his wife and decides to go into business, and there's that lack of core business training. Now, we've had situations as well where we've had contractors that have been in business for a number of years, and it's a struggle. We have created the Impact Construction College to make sure that if someone does decide to go into business, they have the requisite skills to be successful.
I'll jump in and correct
Please.
you, not correct you, add to that. We've had contractors who have jumped into business and have gone back for the training because they said, I knew everything about ironwork and nothing about the business side. And so it's improved their ability to collect money, to get paid on time. And it's, one contractor at a time attending a school, but we believe it's benefiting us in a emerging construction market.
Every ironworker member got a letter recently saying that we are conducting a business fundamentals class in Cleveland the second week in January. Now, obviously, that's not a no knock on the Cleveland audience, but that's not a vacation destination the second weekend in January, because this is taking people that are currently in business or, again, pursuing business through an intensive week-long class that goes through every nuts and bolts aspect of business. So it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of people are going to learn a lot of good stuff at that class in Cleveland. The other piece of it is, again, work, and I want to emphasize that all training that Impact offers, whether it's geared toward the contractor or the ironworker, it's jointly open to anybody. So in many of our classes, you'll have a journeyman ironworker in there, and we've gone through the situation where someone goes through the business fundamentals class like we did last summer in Ann Arbor, and two of the candidates said, wow, I didn't realize how involved this is. I think we're going to take a pass. So, and that's also a valuable part of training as well.
Well, that saves the delinquent fringe benefits by entering into business and finding out that they weren't equipped or didn't have the skills necessary.
Let me ask you this, Eric. If I go into business and 18 months later I build up a lot of unpaid benefits to the health and welfare fund or the pension fund, who pays for that?
The industry as a whole, the trust. So the trust is responsible for making sure that everyone pays in a uniform and consistent manner. So each local set up and run by a joint trust. The local contractors that are honorable enough to donate their time, they have a responsibility, along with the labor folks, of being the police force to make sure that there's no subsidization, that one person doesn't get a pass, that everyone's honoring the collective bargaining agreement and paying in a timely manner.
There's another piece here that is fairly new to Impact. It's been spearheaded by Cindy Kuros in our office, and there is a dramatic need for disadvantaged businesses as well as minority iron workers. And I think you were up in Minneapolis recently and saw that firsthand.
One of the next magazine articles I'm going to allude to that is that our organization needs to attract more of all different types of diverse candidates to be iron workers. We need more women, more minorities, more inner city folks. We used to see PLAs as a regular order of business. We're now seeing more community benefits agreements. And what they do is they micro-target an area where the job or construction project's being built, and they want inclusion for whoever lives in that area. Whatever the citizenry is for that area, that they be included. So we have to reach out. And in the case of Local 512, they were building the Viking Stadium. There was a 32% mandatory requirement for Minnesota minorities to be included in participation on the job. And I'm really proud of the local. They reached out. They went to inner city churches and different things, and they found a pathway, and they increased their minority participation in not only their membership but their apprenticeship program, and they met the contractors' demands. And Danny's Constructors was one of the big steel erectors on the stadium. She said she was one of the few building trades people or contractors that sat at the meeting that met their requirements. So hats off to the local union. But that is we're seeing that almost in every city now. So that's not the rare occurrence. It's becoming a common occurrence. So we have to change our business and our recruiting strategy. So too, she had partners that she had to bring in, and me and Alyssa from Danny's. She had 2 minority partners that were a portion part of the work. So not only did the workers have to be included on that Viking Stadium, so too did minority contractors.
Right.
They found disadvantaged business partners to work with, bid with, and so it's a common occurrence, and we got to groom not only the minority candidates for those projects, and just because it's the right thing to do in our union, but now we got to take a look at how we do that from our core group of contractors.
Well, and a lot of contractors might be intimidated by the process. That's why we did the requisite research. If they contact Cindy Quiros in our office, we can help them with the pathway. If they're a legitimate women-owned business, veteran-owned business, disadvantaged business of any sort, we worked very closely with a contractor in Southern California to get them that status, and they immediately said the phone started ringing off the hook once the ink was dry on the paper. So we're also holding a seminar. It's a pilot seminar in the Southern California region, and we've got 19 contractors that feel that they qualify, and we'll work with them one-on-one to get that status.
One of the biggest demands I've seen in the ironworking industry is in the reinforcing industry. A lot of concrete is bid in a concrete type package, and then they sub out the rebar placing. And oftentimes they're looking for a disadvantaged or minority contractor, and we're called regularly. And what the problem is if you are a legitimate minority business, there's a certain volume of work you can do, and then if you exceed the volume, you get taken off the list. So it's a pool of diminishing returns.
Right.
Some of the very successful contractors, if they take too much work on, then they're eliminated from future work.
And keep in mind another aspect of what we're doing out there in an attempt to grow market share, and I've said this in previous webcasts, is everything we do is geared toward growth, either direct line or dotted line. So it's very, very important to remember that the best training is training that's implemented. So an iron worker has, as he's going through his apprenticeship or her apprenticeship, they have the book learning part of it, but the implementation part out on the job site is where the real learning exists, right?
Yeah.
So with the contractors, we have set a lavish table of contractor training, including our work with FMI. But it's very important to get in front of those contractors that have that need and truly implement it. So again, we have a very small staff, but they're willing to go the extra mile and sit down with current contractors, and the business manager knows those that need the help, or they can self-identify, and we can sit with them and work with their business plan. The last piece I just wanted to chat about today is something you talked about earlier, General President Dean, is sales, business development, outreach, whatever you want to call it. And one of the things we're very proud about is the ability to develop very specialized and custom, like you see on the screen, marketing materials, whether it's for the local union, the district council, or one of the contractors. And it involves websites, trifolds, one-sheets, logo development, the whole 9 yards. And we have Joseph Matos on our staff that works with everybody to their spec custom design, so that when they sit down and go face-to-face with someone, because that's where the real sales take place, they have professional branded material.
Well, I can tell you that, I was taught by an old timer one time when I first got elected business agent. He told me, you're in the business of selling labor. So we have a product. We have skilled labor. We run the union halls. The union does. We run the we sit on the Joint Apprenticeship Training Trust, the welfare, and the pension. But ultimately, we have to find signatory employers to work with us. And a lot of times the ironworker doesn't always have the skill necessary. The contractor sometimes are mom, pa, or small little Miss Metals, little stair and handrail, little rebar, small contractors. They're not the stadium builders, but they're a big part of our business. They don't have a budget or the availability to sell their business to the end user.
Right.
And so the business agent and the business manager can only do so much, and they can only do so much. So Impact, we thought in our meetings that having the availability of our staff to develop those websites and those marketing pieces and one-pagers is a way to get the word out that they are in business and to grow. Even if a small contractor, 6-man outfit, grows one extra job a year by marketing, it's worth it. And
Absolutely.
their contributions to Impact, they're already availing themselves by contributing through a collective bargaining process, but they often don't know how to take advantage and implement some of these marketing plans.
So I don't think anybody's born a marketing expert. It may be intimidating to think, I really need this stuff, but I don't know where to start. Contact our office, call Joseph Matos, and he will direct you towards our marketing and branding template, which is right on our website, and walk you through step by step on how to do it. We've talked about growth. We've talked about that we're doing a lot of things differently than we have before. I think it's safe to say that when we grow, it will be through paths that we've done before, but also utilizing tools that we've never tried before. Before we close out this webcast, parting shots.
Well, just do we keep an eye on the membership growth, and we are 2008 was our high water recent mark. I've written that in a recent magazine article. We've exceeded the 2006 mark. We're on our way, and our apprenticeship numbers are up, our probationary members numbers are up, our shop numbers are increasing, but that's not a reason to rest. I'm not completely satisfied with just experiencing growth because the construction economy is growing. I want to see us outpace that growth.
That's going to close out this broadcast. Remember, to make up market share, you have to take it from someone else. So that's why we set this table. Thank you again, Eric, for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing you on the next edition of Impact TV. I'm Kevin Hilton, the Impact CEO and your host. Thank you very much.